So today we're going to be talking about some of the long-term effects of gaslighting. Please don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell. This way, every time I upload a new video, you dear one will be the first to know. And don't forget to check out Breakdown to Breakthrough, my podcast that's available everywhere. So gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation. It's a psychological tactic that people use to get other people to doubt their perception, to doubt their reality. And it's effective because once you infect someone in the mental field, in their mind, once you impact or actually infect the way someone thinks, they are easy to manipulate because where our thoughts go, our body goes. Where our thoughts go, our chemistry goes. Where our thoughts go, our decisions go. So it makes sense that someone who is highly narcissistic, who is manipulative, who blame shifts, who withholds, who's passive aggressive and all that jazzy stuff, it makes sense that someone with these very negative characteristics, personality traits, would need to or want to infect someone in the mental field. And that's why here I try to talk a lot about the power of your own mind and taking back what you think and really getting to the point where you question everything, including what someone says about you, including someone's opinion of you, including someone else's version of the same story that you're a part of. Get in the habit of questioning everything so that you know that your perception is your own and it's not being infected by someone who may be targeting you and who may be using these psychological traits or tricks on you to gain power and control over you. So gaslighting is a tactic that people use to get you to doubt your reality. And this is something that's employed by people who are highly narcissistic. And some people do it on purpose, and I think that some people are just natural at it. Like they're not even aware that they're doing it. And to me, the people that are aware that they're doing it, to me, these are even scarier people because there's intention behind it. It's premeditated, if you will. So let's talk about some of the common tactics that we know as gaslighting. So countering is when someone who is highly manipulative, someone who wants to dominate you, is countering your perception of the facts. This is someone who is trying to get you to doubt that you saw what you saw. So they will attack your perception of an event. This happens when someone questions your memory or recall of something that happened. Like, I saw you flirting with the waitress, and they will say, no, that's not actually what happened. There was no waitress there, and if you weren't so insecure, then you wouldn't just presume everyone that brushed up against me was actually flirting with me. So you have this recall of an event that happened the night before, and the person who has high narcissistic traits is countering your recollection of the memory. Another form of gaslighting is withholding, and this drives me crazy. This is someone who just refuses to participate in a conversation. This is someone who withholds information. This is someone who refuses to listen, or I love this, they pretend like they don't know what you're talking about. What girl? Like, when? What time? Which time that I got up from the table? Like, what are you talking about? That never happened, and I don't even know what you're talking about. And then just refusing to talk about the fact that you saw your boyfriend and your husband flirting with the waitress the night before. So they act like they don't know what you're talking about. They refuse to discuss it. They shut you down, and you're left feeling like, I have nowhere to go with this. I've experienced this a lot in my first marriage, and it was devastating. And it really turned me into someone that I didn't recognize and someone that I didn't want to know. I just felt so frustrated. And I finally walked away realizing that it's not the person that's doing the most talking that's in control. It's the person that refuses to talk that ends up being in control. At least if we're having a conversation and we both have the same goal, there is the potential for resolution. But when you're dealing with someone who's withholding, is just refusing to listen to you, acting like they don't know what you're talking about, there's no way that you can get from point A to point B. And this is a form of gaslighting. Another form of gaslighting is blocking or diverting. And this is when someone is questioning your integrity. This is when someone is questioning your credibility. or someone else's credibility. So let's say you have a friend who saw your partner at a bank withdrawing some money that afternoon, and they told you they were supposed to be at work. And you go to your partner and you say, hey, listen, Mary saw you at the bank today, and it looked like you were withdrawing money. What's up with that? And this person ends up saying, well, Mary's an alcoholic. Mary's on drugs. Mary sees things. I wasn't at the bank today. Why would Mary tell you that? What, is she looking to just cause problems in our relationship? So this is going to get you to doubt your reality. This is going to get you to doubt Mary's perception of reality, and you end up feeling confused. And so this is what someone who is highly narcissistic will do to gaslight the situation, of course, to remain in control, to remain dominant over the relationship, and ultimately to really mitigate any chance that you have to stand on your own 2 feet and set a boundary with this person and hold them accountable. People who divert or use blocking also change the subject a lot. So this happens when you are pinning the tail on the donkey, like you finally built up your nerve to have this conversation with this person who you think offended you, went over the line, or you think is highly narcissistic, and they start changing the subject. Or they start complimenting you, right? So they're complimenting you and you're all flustered, like you don't know how to redirect the conversation back to the subject matter. But the whole agenda is to get you to stop focusing on what you were trying to talk about. I remember a situation very clearly, and it freaked me out at the time. I didn't know what I was dealing with when I confronted my ex and said, you cannot slap our kid in the mouth. Like, you can't do that. And he said, do you know that 50% of men in America have affairs and have mistresses? And so this was him blocking and diverting. This was him trying to gaslight me, to get me to feel afraid of confronting him. I was being conditioned to be afraid of holding him accountable and stirring the pot. And so this is an example of diverting or blocking. Another form of gaslighting is devaluing or minimizing or trivializing your feelings or your experience or your perception. And this is done essentially to get you to doubt the validity of your perception and to doubt the validity of your emotions. And so one of the big things that a narcissistic person will do across the board, and you might notice if you're in that type of relationship, is the chronic invalidation from the minute you wake up in the morning until you go to bed at night. Your perceptions are going to be invalidated. Oh, it looks like a nice day. Not really. Why would you say that? There are a couple of clouds in the sky. Your perception of the sky and it being a nice day is completely invalidated. Or that was nice that Susie brought over a cake. Oh, Susie can't bake, and she's only brought over a cake because she's trying to get you to do what she wants you to do. And here you are, you're thinking it's great that Susie bought a cake, but these little jabs at your perception of Susie being a nice neighbor, for instance, you will be trivialized, and your perception of reality will be minimized day in and day out. This is even more obvious when you have something that you want to talk to about your partner, something super important. Maybe you felt gaslit, or maybe you felt minimized at a party, or maybe you think your partner was lying to you and you want to talk to them about it, right? Clear the air, get it off your chest. Someone who is highly narcissistic will trivialize your perception or your reaction to them lying. So you will be called names like, you're a big baby, you make a big deal out of nothing, you're so emotionally sensitive, this is why you can't keep a relationship. And so you will be trivialized as a person, your character will be trivialized, and your need to discuss this issue with your partner will also be trivialized. This is a form of gaslighting. So another form of gaslighting is when someone just refuses to acknowledge that anything ever happened. So forgetting that it happened, forgetting that this person lied to you 2 years ago, or forgetting that this person took money out of your bank account without even asking you, forgetting that it ever happened, pretending that it never happened, and just refusing to take accountability for what you know they did, what you know they said, and what took place in the past. And this is a form of gaslighting that gets you to question whether or not an event really ever took place. And the goal really is to infect you at the level of the mind. And that's why so much of my work centers around regaining control over your perception, regaining your perception of yourself. Because what a narcissist does is corrupts your worldview. A narcissist corrupts the way you see yourself. And we've got to help you move towards self-actualization. We've got to teach you the skills that you need to bring the focus back to yourself so that you can withstand having challenges with someone who is highly narcissistic, so that you don't lose yourself. And instead of falling prey to gaslighting, you're able to identify it. So over time, someone who's experiencing gaslighting will develop tremendous self-doubt. They will not be able to make decisions on their own. They will need constant affirmation, either from the person who's highly narcissistic or family or friends. They just will have this tremendous self-doubt. They can develop anxiety. So this constant feeling like I'm on edge, like I just can't trust anything. And you'll doubt the way that you think, you'll doubt the way that you feel, you'll doubt your emotions. This is generalized anxiety. It'll feel like impending doom. And you will feel worse when you are around someone who is highly narcissistic, because they continue to trigger you and they continue to gaslight you. And if you're in a trauma bonded situation, then you have been convinced that you can't leave this person. It's like crazy glue. It's like all consciousness of being able to leave this person is gone. I watched my mom go through this with my dad. My mom felt with every fiber of her being, she cannot leave this man. And it was like every time I brought it up, like, Mom, you don't have to live like this. My mom came right back with, oh, that's just silly. I could never leave your father. But of course she could. She could have, but he convinced her through beating her down over the years that she'd never make it without him. She was responsible for him. And he would have made her life a living hell had she taken the steps to end the relationship. And so the price was too high for her to pay, unfortunately, in her mind at the time. So she ended up feeling like she couldn't leave. And ultimately, my mom paid the price with, in my opinion, with developing dementia, and was completely, absolutely dependent upon my father, which is super sad. And in my opinion, as a daughter watching that, it set me on fire with, well, how do I avoid that happening to me? And how can I teach people to avoid that as well? If you live with a narcissist long term, you can develop a plethora of health issues, from heart palpitations, from issues that stem from stress. Like, you can develop gastrointestinal issues. You can develop fertility issues due to stress. You can develop asthma like I did, migraine headaches like I did. You can develop rashes. So it is the result of the immune system feeling constantly attacked and being super sensitive to what you're feeling. And of course, the more a mind feels destabilized, the more the physiology of that person is going to be compromised. And so you can develop a plethora of physical symptoms as a result of living with a narcissist experience, and you are experiencing gaslighting long term. Another thing that can happen to you is that you end up developing depression. You are not anymore looking for joy. You don't know what joy feels like anymore. You have lost your balance. You are isolated. You are so worried about what this narcissistic person thinks about you that you have lost contact with your friends. You've lost contact with your family. This person is so inside your head that all you can think about is pleasing them and living in fear of displeasing them. You're walking around on eggshells. And if you are not fulfilling yourself, if you are not moving in the direction that fulfills your soul, then it's sort of like your battery pack is being shut down over time. You're not replenishing the energy, and in fact, you're being drained by this experience. If you are in a relationship with someone who is highly narcissistic, you're in a relationship that's built for one person. It's two people in a relationship, and both people are concerned about the one person, what they think, what they feel, what they need, what they want, what they desire, what they believe about you, what they believe about other people. And woe to you if you push them back, because if you push them back, they see that as a threat. And it's really important that those of us who have experienced gaslighting understand what we're dealing with, so that we can arm ourselves and be more proactive when dealing with these types of people, by way of setting a boundary, by way of going shutty, by using gray rock, by refusing to give the narcissist any more ammunition, which is our emotional reaction to their perception, to their beliefs, and their personal attacks towards us. I found this super interesting, that according to the Crown Prosecution Service in the United Kingdom, other elements of coercive control include monitoring someone else's activity, their mobile phone or their emails, controlling all of the finances, using insults and threats to scare another person, and manipulating someone into unwanted activity, physical activity, or pushing intimacy on someone. These are forms of coercive control. The issue that we need to be aware of is that this form of control usually escalates over time. And so if you're in a relationship with someone who's monitoring your emails, if you're in a relationship with someone who demands that you give them your password, if you are in a relationship with someone who makes you feel like you have to tell them everything about your life, you want to see that as a red flag, because that will eventually lead to more and more and more forms of control. And, to me, a narcissist is like a shark. And when a shark smells blood in the water, they gravitate towards that body that is giving off this blood in the water, right? It excites them. It gets them into attack mode. And so the more control someone gains over us over time, it's almost like we're upping the ante, and the more control that they're going to want. And then it becomes harder and harder and harder for us to set a boundary and start to pull back. The good news is that once you become aware of gaslighting, once you're aware of the tactics, once you're aware of the long-term effects of gaslighting on you, that's when you can start to reach out for support. One of the best things that you can do is start journaling about your experiences. Of course, don't let the narcissist know you have a journal, because a narcissist will go through your journal. Of course, you want to make sure that you are journaling about events that took place, an actual date and time, even down to what the person is wearing, so that when you go back and you read your account of these events, you know that you're not crazy. That right fresh out of the gate, this is what happened last night at the bar, this is what the girl was wearing. If you can even take video of what's happening, of course, don't let the narcissist know. Anything that's going to help you feel solid and confirm, like, yep, this happened, because a narcissist is going to gaslight you and try to convince you you're crazy and it didn't happen. Another thing that you can do is use the voice memo on your phone. So speak into your phone. You just got off the phone with someone who you think is gaslighting. Turn on your cell phone, leave yourself a voice memo, and then go back and listen to it later on. Of course, record conversations. And of course, I love that we all know that if we are recording our partners, which is what I ended up doing, I ended up recording all of the voicemails he left on my home phone. I ended up saving the voicemails on my cell phone. And I wasn't doing it at the time because I thought that this person was a narcissist. It was just, I needed it to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. Turns out that that's a sign. If you are Googling your partner's behavior, if you are recording your partner, you're saving memos on your phone, there's a reason. And this is a sign that you're in a toxic relationship that is scrambling your brain, and you need to be super aware of what's happening in your life so you can gain control over your mental field. Of course, pictures help. If you have evidence of what's happening in this relationship, pictures are great. And also save emails, save text messages, print everything out, keep a folder in it, get a safety deposit box, whatever you have to do, because remember, once a narcissist gets between your ears, they've got you. And it's not impossible to pull yourself back. I've done it. And certainly being someone who was codependent gave way to this type of relationship because I was other focused. I was seeking approval. And people who are highly narcissistic love people who are looking for approval, right? And they take advantage of it. They exploit that. And if you're someone who never felt good enough and you carry shame and you're dealing with someone who's highly narcissistic, they exploit that. They exploit your self-doubt. They exploit your low self-worth. No matter what you do for this person, it will never be enough. And so it doesn't work. So certainly if you have pictures, if you have emails, you have text messages, make sure that you start to print them out, keep them in a safe place, and of course also reach out to someone that you believe can support you. But be careful of speaking to people that don't understand this dynamic, because sometimes they try to talk you out of what you're feeling, and that's just not helpful. So make sure that you reach out to a healthy support group, make sure that you reach out to a therapist or a life coach that you believe can help you heal these dynamics within your own life so that you can gain control again over your mental field. If you believe that you are codependent, if you believe that you've been in a relationship with someone who's highly narcissistic and you've lost yourself, if you believe that you've come from a dysfunctional home and that has predisposed you to tolerating ridiculous experiences inside a relationship, check out the 12-week Breakthrough Coaching Program. This is a highly successful, transformational roadmap, my personal roadmap, that I personally use with private coaching clients and within my 12-week Breakthrough Coaching groups. And you can participate right here, right now. Go to www.lisaaromano.com and click 12-week Breakthrough Coaching Program. Namaste, everybody. Until next time. And remember, you are enough. And the most important thing that you can do is take your mind back. Hey, if you love this content, don't forget to check out the next video, and you can go to my website and take the codependency quiz.